Hey everyone, it's Denise Brown. It is a Saturday morning in November. It's the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and we're gathering today to talk about the holidays and caregiving. And we're going to have a facilitated conversation with insights from our live audience. We're so grateful for those who have joined us live. And if you're watching the archive, we'd love for you to share your insights in the comments section. So I'm Denise Brown. I cared for my parents, and I currently train individuals who want to become caregiving coaches, facilitators, and navigators. And I have two colleagues who are joining me today, Beth and Kim. Beth, do you want to give a 10-second intro about who you care for?
Okay, yeah. Hi, I'm Beth. I'm in Victoria, BC, Canada. I live with and care for my husband and also my aging parents.
Okay. And Kim, give us a 10-second overview.
Sure. Hi, I'm Kim, and I currently care for family members who live with mental illness, and I cared for my mother who had breast cancer.
Okay, so let's start with perhaps what it seems like an easier question. And that first question is, what do you look forward to during the holiday seasons? Beth is from Canada, so she's already celebrated Thanksgiving. So her next holiday season happens in December. So, Beth, what do you look forward to?
I don't know. I guess as it gets more and more dark, I look forward to the lights and that there are more things going on out and about. I look forward to like the celebration itself, like the food and the presents. I like putting up the tree, um, doing the advent calendar, like yeah, all of it.
Kim, what about for you?
Yeah, I also am someone who love the lights. I love this time of year where you start to see decorations. I've actually already seen some up, believe it or not. But I just like this time of kind of slowing down a bit. I guess it depends on whether you're one running around trying to do all the things and get all the presents. But for me, like slowing down, spending time with my family, and just feeling the good cheer, I guess, around this time.
I look forward to my neighbor's decorations because I don't feel up to decorating. So I appreciate walking through the neighborhood and seeing how others just seem to have a lot of time for decorations, which is awesome. And I so appreciate their gift to the neighborhood, which is beautiful, twinkly decorations. And I think that's an interesting lead into what makes the holidays difficult during caregiving. And it can be something as simple as just not the energy to decorate how you did before. I'm curious, Beth and Kim, how has decorating changed for you because of the caregiving?
Oh, well, I can go. Um, I guess also because we're aging, like I'm the youngest one in the household, so we don't have little kids and things to be doing a whole lot for. So we're kind of slowing down in our own decorating, but we still put up some lights and we do a tree. We've now moved into a condo that's more accessible for people's needs, so we're not allowed to have a real tree. So now we have a fake tree, but you can put that up whenever you want. So there's kind of both sides to it. Yeah, so decorating, I think my husband is a big fan of what he calls fairy lights because he's British. And so those strings of lights, and we have lights now on our balcony that are solar powered all year. So we just leave them up. He has fairy lights in the bedroom. So we kind of have decorations 24/7.
Which is very nice. Kim,
I was
how,
gonna say
yeah.
I love fairy lights. Love that. It's interesting. I feel like definitely. during that, like when I feel like I was in the entrenched, I guess, stage of my caregiving with my mother, there was no such thing as decorating. I just didn't have the bandwidth to do it. And I think before then, I used to try to do a lot as far as just more inside, not so much outside, but get a little wreath for the door, things like that. And then after caregiving, I think I've kind of gone back a little bit to decorating more, but I don't know. I feel like just not like kind of like you said, Denise, just not having that, I don't know, that energy to do it as much as I used to, but would love to get back into that place.
Yeah, I cared for my parents for many years. They died in 2022 and 2023. I had other deaths though. My brother died in 2021 and then his wife died in 2023. And I think all of that has just taken a lot out of me in a way that I hadn't expected, which, as I say it out loud, how could you not expect that it takes a lot out of you? And so, just the idea of sometimes the holidays really brings up dread for me. And I'm always kind of shocked at how much I dread, even though I'm not in a current caregiving situation, but it still feels like it in my heart. So there were a couple things that happened over the holidays that I still feel like, for instance, nothing changed for other family members during the holidays because of caregiving. But it was a lot for me to ensure that my parents were celebrating in the way that they wanted to. I really did what I could for them. And it felt like I took on all the holiday expectations for my parents plus managed care. And then the other family members, my siblings and their families, just enjoyed it. Like it was a frivolous affair for them. And it wasn't for me, it wasn't frivolous. And I know that people will say, well, did you ask for help? Well, yes, I did. And yes, they said no. They just said, no, we're not going to help you. Right. So then you also have that lasting impact of needing help. My dad had COVID over Christmas in 2022. So it was just about 5 months after my mom died. Then my dad has COVID. And my sister, who my dad paid to help him, just said to me flat out, I'm not helping you during this time. So I did it all. And they enjoyed a carefree holiday season. I did not. And I still feel that. So I have a good relationship with my siblings. I will see them over the holidays. I talk to them. I check in with them. I am committed to the relationship, and it still brings up bad memories during the holiday season. And I think that's the carryover. So we still have a taste of what previous holidays were like, which impacts today's holiday season. Okay, so I'm curious, Beth, what about the holidays creates a sense of dread or a sense of stress for you?
Yeah. Well, I think uh, that expectation of trying to create things for everybody, because I call it, my dad's an engineer, so I've picked up engineering terms over my life. I'm the single point of failure here. So same thing, I'm carrying all of the things. And as much as I like to put up the tree and do all of that, which I would do on my own, um, if I was just here on my own. It's that balancing an expectation of trying to merge, especially now that like my parents moved in here. We moved them across the country in the summer of 2020 because my dad was staring down long-term care and COVID had just hit. So we moved them in, and then there's myself and my husband, and then my mom and dad. And then there's like I'm kind of in the middle, and who does what holidays in what way, and yeah, that kind of thing, trying to be that emotional middle ground and trying to smooth everything over and make it a good experience for everybody. That's difficult. And so we're what, 5 years in now? Um, things are kind of finding a balance, but it's taken time, right? So,
And we think about nervous system as one of the 19 caregiving systems we manage. It's not just our nervous system, it's our carees' nervous system. And it could be actually other family members. So even if they're not helping, they might be nervous about what the holiday is going to be like. And as you say, Beth, we're the ones that create that calm presence. So even if no one is helping us, we still are helping everybody else by just keeping everything at a level playing field, emotion wise.
yeah.
Kim, how about for you?
Um, and I'm sorry, I saw the comment in the chat about the Christmas being canceled. I just saw that that was interesting because I feel like around the time where my mom was really getting sick was the week before Christmas. And so I just kind of, like you said, Denise, bringing those, the holidays kind of having those negative emotions, even if you're enjoying, or even if you're, you're with family. But I feel like for me, sometimes especially around Christmas, I feel like I get those memories of how hard it was being in the thick of it with caregiving and still trying to keep everyone else calm and happy. And it's a lot. It's a lot when you're the one who's in charge of maintaining the temperature, I guess, for everyone else.
Right, it's not just the temperature of the turkey, it's the temperature of the room. And it feels like we're the one that keeps everybody settled, which is difficult. It's a lot of pressure. You can feel like the holidays are a pressure cooker. You can feel it for a lot of different reasons. And one of the big ones is we don't know how many holidays are left with our carries. And so you're thinking, well, this could be the last holiday. I've got to make this extra special. And we're already tired. We're already drained. We're stressed. We're overwhelmed. And then this feeling of, I've got to make this perfect can really set us up for a difficult season because we can't relax. And I'm curious if that thought has impacted either of you. And if it's impacted those who are in the chat room, we'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, the idea of relaxing, I think even when like I have stepsons who are now 30-ish, um, when the boys were smaller, like we didn't really go all out for Christmas. Like we didn't cancel Christmas. We had a tree and we did a turkey and we did all that. But like presents wise, I think we always talk to them about we live in a culture now. My husband's a historian, so this isn't Victorian England. We're not, we don't need things in the dead of winter anymore. If there's something we want, we just go and get it regardless of the time of year. So, you will get a few things. So we never really went overboard. And I think that's kind of helped because then over the years, even as people get older, we sort of streamline it and streamline it. Um, so I think we did ourselves a massive favor there. Um, yeah. Although, I mean, then having said that, there was like times when Tony was sick. My husband's had a lung transplant. And so there were years he was in end stage lung failure, and quite ill. Um, And that felt to me, I felt anyway, to make things extra special. Like then I bought my presents for myself and wrapped them up and just trying to make it normal as he was really ill was what I was racing to do. I appreciate Steve saying Christmas is canceled. Um, I wish I'd had that thought, but I didn't. And I think that Tony would have been okay with that, right? Is like when you've got so much going on, can we just kind of pull back and take time to use the season as a time to take time for ourselves?
Yeah, how about for you, Kim?
And I'm sorry, I had so many different thoughts, Denise. Could you repeat like what your original question was?
Yeah, how has the pressure to feel like this has to be a perfect holiday impacted you?
Gotcha. Okay. Um, so I have to say, and this is not to, hopefully it's not coming off obnoxious. I feel like I gave up on that long time ago. Whereas though for me, it was there's not going to be a perfect holiday. In fact, it's funny talking with my sister actually just yesterday, and we were like, okay, everyone is getting love and appreciation for Christmas because we just there's so much going on, right? So I don't I try not to put too much pressure on myself to create the perfect Thanksgiving or the perfect Christmas. And definitely, I feel like since being in the thick of the care of caregiving for my mom, realizing however this holiday ends up, that it was perfect for us. And so just kind of having that acceptance because as caregivers, we have enough on our plates and adding that extra stress and pressure is just, we don't need it. So, yeah, that's pretty much how I process that.
I love how much more evolved you guys are as people than I am, which is awesome. You are giving me something to achieve, a goal to work toward, which is just letting it all go. I think one of the other stressors happened for me around insensitivity from others about what I was going through. And there's something that happened after my brother died that I still think about. And I think it's really interesting how comments from others just really stick with us. And this was from someone who is in our caregiving space. So, family caregiver, is out in the world talking about supporting family caregivers. And I was in a meeting with her. So there were others around us. And it was after my brother died. And I asked her about her holidays. And she talked about how she was going to have all her siblings come to her house and what a big deal it was for all the siblings to be together. And she kept going on about how all her siblings were going to be in the same house for the holidays. And she knew my brother had recently died. And the other piece of it is I have an estranged older sister. So the reality is, I am never going to get together with all my siblings for another holiday season. And because we were in front of a group during this networking meeting, I just took it. I was like, oh, that sounds so fabulous. That is so wonderful. I'm so glad for you. And if I were an evolved person, I would say, her holiday has nothing to do with mine, but I would have loved some sensitivity around a really fresh loss and the knowledge that a house full of siblings is never going to happen for me. And to be able to say, I'm getting together with my families, my siblings are coming, and to leave it at that. But boy, she really went on and on. And I still remember that 4 years later. Okay, so that's a stressor for me, enduring insensitive comments and not necessarily knowing how to manage them. So I'm wondering, Beth, what's another stressor for you during the holidays?
Um, I'm just thinking of your example of having lots of people, and we're a pretty small family anyway, so we don't have all of these people coming, so that wouldn't have been a trigger for me. Um, I don't know. Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
I was just sharing an example of what else
Yeah,
stresses me about the
right.
holidays. And so I was just wondering, what's another stressor for you around the holidays?
Oh, I don't know. See, I don't know that there are holiday-based stressors aside from what I've already said about just trying to manage everybody and their expectations. Um, because we're still involved in navigating healthcare systems and things, so that's really our biggest stressor any time of the year. I guess around the holidays, that would be a stressor. Getting like the already poor access is more difficult during the holidays. What happens if kind of things? Because we've got some things. My husband has some health issues now that require us to try to get in front of a nurse practitioner that even now it's getting more and more difficult, and we're not even into December yet. So I think managing people's actual health during a time when everyone else is on holidays. Yeah.
Kim, what's another stressor for you?
Yeah, I was gonna say, so I feel like with the caregiving, as far as with my mother, it's interesting. I feel like being on the other side of that caregiving journey and also navigating grief, I think that is particularly Thanksgiving, this time frame, is I I can get easily pricked by, it's funny, not insensitive comments, but more so I feel that people have expectations of me and want my time. So, and I like to kind of take this time to be private, like just me and my husband, and but I feel like then you have these expectations from my in-laws, and they're like, "Oh, are you going to spend the holidays with us?" And then my family, whereas though I'm the oldest girl, so I feel like there's been this unspoken expectation of, oh, well, I will carry on my mother's traditions or things like that. And if I say no, I'm gonna stay at home and make my own little turkey and watch my parade watch the parade with my husband. I feel like there's this judgment, and somehow I'm doing something wrong or letting them down. And then so that I feel like I wish that there was more space and grace given to me during this time. I think that. Um, Yeah, I think that that can be. I mean, and I feel like, yes, there are moments where, I hear people talking like, oh, my mom's flying in and things like that. I think, I think for me, navigating the grief, that happens sometimes. Sometimes someone will say something and it doesn't bug me. But I think more than anything for me, that having that expectation of you need to be present, and you need to we need you during this Thanksgiving season. That can be difficult to navigate and manage.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we've created to help family caregivers is a program called More or Less, where we help you add more into your life that feels helpful and reduce what feels unhelpful. And it's a program that you can join. It includes 5 coaching sessions and then a free private group plus free group coaching sessions. And we'd love for you to think about joining us. And I'm going to share a little bit more, including how to enroll in our program. And I just want to mention that Steve is sharing something in the chat room around communication. So communication is his biggest trigger. When his caree doesn't respond to me or answer a question I may ask, Steve is writing. I feel I am nothing in the big picture. I do all the work and just get ignored. Frustrates me to no end. Oh my gosh, that is so well articulated. I get that, right? This idea that I am nothing in the big picture. But the big picture only exists because of all this impactful, important work you are doing. And it really is frustrating to feel unappreciated and overlooked. So, Steve, we see you. We appreciate all that you're doing, especially because you shared earlier in the chat room, you are making Christmas happen. You are setting up all the decorations. That's a lot of work. You are creating this environment of celebration. That's important. And we appreciate all that's involved just in that aspect, plus everything else you're doing. I'm curious if anyone else has that moment of, I feel so unappreciated, and how you manage that.
Oh, we had this conversation already this morning, and it's only 8:27 a.m. So, um, yeah, one of the things, um, Yeah, I don't even know where to start. That's the issue when you're navigating, like I have a website, navigating healthcare, and the caregiver is often, like Denise said, we're doing the heavy lifting, and the, we're practically invisible all the time unless somebody needs us to do a task. And then on top of that, my husband had a Vespa accident 6 years ago, and anyway, court cases in 2 weeks. So that's all heating up, and we're feeling that from the lawyers. So I guess our situation is a bit different because I'm able now to express that to Tony, and he is more and more understanding, not just of the court case, but of my role in the bigger picture. So we've had a breakthrough, but for a long time, yeah, that was hard. That was what makes you sort of shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink as you take on that idea that you're getting from the healthcare system and from the culture and everybody, that you just pick this up and do it, and it's all easy and nobody pays much mind to it. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Go
oh
ahead, Kim. Go ahead.
I was going to say just to jump in really quickly, and then I also saw Steve's additional comment about not having any family or friends around. I feel like caregiving is can be very isolating, and you can be surrounded by people all the time. I mean, especially those that you're caring for. And I feel that that is it's so important to try to find community where you can, try to find that support where you can, whether it is in support groups or like in Caring Our Way, and or any sort of way that you can get some sort of lifeline to get us some support. I feel like is so crucial because it is very isolating. It is it and it can feel very you can feel unappreciated. I feel like it's a thankless job, right? But like Denise said, it's kind of like you know, you don't feel like you're anything in the big picture, but the reality is, well, who's moving this big picture without us, without the caregivers? How is this even functioning? Yeah, definitely can second kind of what Steve said, what Beth said. It definitely have been there before where you feel like you're just not appreciated or not even a focus. Um, but I would say strongly, if I give any sort of 2 cents, having that community or trying to find some sort of support wherever you can is really helpful.
yeah. And I would say persist in that, because the years I tried to find support that supports, I like Denise when she says finding help that helps. The first 5, 10 might not be helpful for you at all. Um, Out there are places that you can find support. For me, it's in advocacy and activism, and I've found some groups that are helping to put a caregiver voice forward in policy and things. And that might not be your area, but I find it helpful for me. Um, so kind of thinking broadly about what, what kind of hearing you need to have for yourself. How do you need to be heard, and where can you find a place to express your voice? So, and persist. It just sometimes takes a while.
I think it's particularly frustrating when you feel unappreciated within your family system. And Steve is also caring for someone who has dementia. So a disease process also steals that individual's ability to understand what someone else is doing for them. And that's hard because it changes the relationship. We do it, and it's a little bit easier to do it when you receive a thank you and an appreciation and an acknowledgement that, boy, this makes a difference. This is really important what you're doing. The last Thanksgiving my mom was alive was particularly stressful. She was heartbroken over my brother's death and my sister's estrangement. So, I could cry about it now because it was just heartbreaking for her. So her last year of life, she was just absolutely heartbroken. And it stressed my dad out to no end. And my dad's coping mechanism for stress was to drink. And we did everything we could to get him to reduce how much he drank. We would say, you're 90, you're 89. We're not going to tell you not to drink, but if you could just reduce it, that would be awesome. Well, he couldn't. And on Thanksgiving, I'm not sure who kept making him drinks, but someone kept making him drinks. I think I did finally say to my brother, stop making him drinks. And by the time we were leaving, he was clearly overserved. And so I was transportation. I helped my parents. So we got in the car. My brother and my nephew actually helped my dad in the car, got him settled. And I was so upset about it that what they were doing, which was giving my dad too much to drink, was making it harder for me too, because I had to make sure he was okay once they got into their condo. And, it didn't help my mom at all to see my dad like that. So I remember going back into my brother's house because I had forgotten something. And I stood in the foyer and I said, doesn't anyone see my reality? Don't you get what I'm enduring? Don't you see what my life is? And they just looked at me. They just looked at me. And then I was like, okay, I'm not going to get any sympathy, understanding, empathy from this group of people. So then I just got in the car. We drove home. And they never followed up with me later that evening to say, how was it when you got them settled at home? What was the rest of the drive like for you? Like they never followed up. Never. They never followed up to ask me how I was doing, which is part of the reason that the holidays are stressful, because I have these memories of being very clear about, man, I'm hurting here. I'm articulating my hurt. Like someone had a temper tantrum in the foyer of your house. Like, see it, see it. And they just were absolutely clueless about what to do and how to support me. And it still obviously is raw for me, which is why we want to make sure that your rawness during the holiday season eases and that there's comfort and soothing support for you during the holidays. We want you to feel like there are people who get what you're going through, who appreciate it and want you to feel okay and receive your own kind of gifts during the holiday season. And so that's what we're doing through our More or Less program. And we'd love for you to think about enrolling. So again, it's 5 one-on-one coaching sessions. And so you get to pick how you want to use the coaching sessions to add in something that's better for you, that feels good, or to reduce something that you feel like, this negative self-talk is really starting to drain me, or my guilt is really starting to take away good moments. We can help you. And in addition to the one-on-one coaching calls that you have, you'll also join group coaching calls once a month for 3 months. So the coaches in the program include myself and Beth and Kim. And one of the reasons that we wanted to do this program for you today was to get to know us. Because you can think, I don't really know a coach. How could they help? But we hope that you understand that we get it, which means that we are here to offer support for you. I'll put the link to the program in our chat room so those who are joining us live can click to learn more. And I'll include it in our show notes for those who are watching our archived. And as we close today, I guess I wonder, Beth and Kim, what else would you add about why we are so committed to our More or Less program and why we are so committed to this being beneficial to a family caregiver?
Okay, I can go first. I was gonna say, I definitely think that this program will be beneficial for family caregivers, especially during the holiday time. I feel that, again, kind of what we've discussed during this meeting, having that extra support, having someone to just kind of stand alongside you during your caregiving journey when things are pretty tough, uh, is, I feel, an invaluable resource. And I think, as far as wanting to have less of something, whether, as Steve mentioned, having less of that frustration maybe around how can I be less frustrated around the holidays, or when dealing with my caree or my loved one, and for more, how can I get more peace? How can I get more joy during the Christmas season instead of frustration? So I think that it's so helpful, so beneficial for family caregivers to take that time for yourself, because you're spending most of your time caring for others, or to actually take some time for yourself and to try to get what you need. I think that that's such an important thing, and I love being a part of this program to be able to help facilitate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add on to what Kim is saying, I agree with all of that. Um, I think the idea just of the program of more or less, keeping out of black and white thinking, like it's not all or nothing, like we don't have to go hard and do everything perfectly or whatever, which for me anyway is very easy pattern to fall into. It is the idea that a little bit more or a little bit less, and you can start to see some real impacts with that. And those are good first steps to start to create change.
And I'll also mention our program meets every budget, including a budget that might need a scholarship, which waives the cost of actually participating in the program. So, regardless of your budget, we'd love for you to think about this program because we understand money can be tight, but we also understand the great need for support. So, we wanted to be able to put together a program for you that was beneficial and that met whatever your budget needs are. Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Beth and Kim, thanks for being here. And to our live audience, thanks for joining us. Thanks for contributing. And feel free to join us on caringourway.com. It's a free community. You can learn about our programs. You can join our special events. You can be a part of our special initiatives. We'd love to connect with you and hear how your day is going. Okay, thanks everyone. Bye-bye.